The Dark Night. In the small village of Sunapur, Haryana, India, there's a tale of a dark night that villagers still whisper about in fear. Sunapur was a quiet place where people locked their doors before sunset. Just outside the village lay an ancient graveyard, rumored to be haunted on moonless nights. They called it the shadow of the dark night, a faceless, shapeless entity that appeared every new moon. Legend said that anyone who crossed the graveyard on such a night would never return. The story begins with Ravi, a 28-year-old software engineer visiting his grandfather's home in Sunapur. Ravi didn't believe in ghosts or superstitions. His grandfather had warned him repeatedly, "Ravi, don't go near the graveyard on a new moon night. Something is there, something we shouldn't see." But Ravi dismissed it as village folklore and laughed it off. On a moonless night in May 2025, Ravi made a bet with his friends that he'd go to the graveyard and take a photo to prove there was nothing to fear. At 11 p.m. Ravi left the house with his phone, a flashlight, and a small camera. The village was eerily silent, no dogs barking, no wind rustling. Ravi felt a strange unease but pushed it aside and headed toward the graveyard, a kilometer away through a dense forest. As he entered the woods, the air turned cold. The branches swayed unnaturally, as if something was brushing against them. Ravi turned on his flashlight and pressed on. When he reached the graveyard's gate, a foul smell hit him, like something burning. The gate was rusted, marked with dark stains that looked like dried blood. Ravi pushed it open, and it creaked ominously. Inside, old tombstones stood crooked and broken. The air felt heavy, as if something was watching him. Ravi took out his camera and snapped a photo. But when he looked at the image, his breath caught in his throat. Behind him stood a black shadow with no face, just two glowing red eyes. Ravi spun around, but nothing was there. He thought it might be a trick of the light. He tried to take another photo, but his camera shut off on its own. Then, he heard a whisper, "Why did you come here?" The voice was so cold it sent shivers down his spine. He swept his flashlight around, but the graveyard was empty. Deciding he'd had enough, Ravi turned to leave. But as he approached the gate, he felt something following him. He quickened his pace, but the whisper turned into a scream, "You're mine." Ravi broke into a run, but the gate slammed shut on its own. He pushed against it, but it wouldn't budge. Then, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He turned to see the black shadow standing there, its red eyes boring into him, black smoke seeping from its form. The shadow opened its mouth, and a deafening scream echoed through the forest. Ravi screamed too, but his voice was drowned out by the shadow's wail. In a panic, he pulled a small talisman from his pocket, a gift from his mother. He threw it at the shadow and began chanting a prayer. The shadow shrieked, its form dissolving into smoke. But as the smoke cleared, the tombstones began to tremble. From each grave, black shadows rose, hundreds of them, their red eyes glowing with malice. Ravi threw his weight against the gate, and this time it opened. He ran into the forest, the shadows chasing him, their screams so terrifying that blood dripped from his ears. He remembered his grandfather's words, "If the shadow of the dark night chases you, keep running until the first light of dawn." Ravi summoned all his strength and ran. At 5 a.m. when the first rays of sunlight pierced the forest, the shadows vanished. Ravi collapsed in a field outside the village, his breath ragged, his face pale with terror. He checked his phone, all the photos were gone except one, the shadow staring at him. Ravi never returned to Sunapur after that night. But every new moon, he hears a whisper outside his home. "You're mine." Share your thoughts and your own scary stories in the comments. If you liked this story, hit like, share, and subscribe to Horror Tales. Until the next chilling tale, stay safe,